All right, everybody. Happy Thursday.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Glad to be back with you guys. Super excited. Give you another installment in our energetic alignment and mindset series. Super, super fun. Lots to learn, lots to grow. Some wonderful things. Our background, I'm a real estate investor. A lot of you guys know that for over 10 years now.
And I am an energy healer and an intuitive coach.
Extraordinaire.
And I got into that through healing myself and quitting my job and learning all of this over the last, 6-7 years now.
And for me, it's been just a mindset shift the whole time, always trying to get a little better in everything that I'm doing, stumbling forward, wondering why things aren't working and searching, finding all those good techniques, trying them all out on myself. But it was stumbling and just trying a lot of things where we now have an expert with us. So you don't have to stumble.
Mm-hmm.
We can guide you along the way. And so please, don't take the path that we took, take the path of enlightenment where you just learn from and support, but you learn exactly what to do. And yes, support. So keep coming to our webinar because we can give you wonderful, wonderful support. And in fact, one thing to tell them is that although we're not here this week, next week,
we will be
back and live on Thursday, and we'll be doing a live Q&A.
I'm singing Backstreet Boys in my head right now.
Oh my God, we're back. All right.
Yeah.
So, so next week though, live Q&A, some hot seat training, coaching, everything with that. So bring your best self or just whatever your self is
too, because anytime there's a question, it always turns into a mini lesson. So just want to connect with anybody who can make it live. So we would love to see you guys there. And obviously this is recorded. So you might notice that I talk fast. Zach tries to slow me down sometimes, but listen to your body as you watch this recording. If you need to pause, pause. If you need to get up and take a walk, take a walk. If you got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, drink some water, do it. Listen to your body. That's one of the first steps that we talked about in the very first video is self-awareness. So as you're watching this, notice if I say something or Zach says something that really gets you going, or if I say something or he says something and it just doesn't feel like it's sitting right with you, or you need to take a break and to digest it, do it. Honor yourself, honor your process, honor your body. This is how we build self-awareness. This is how we build self-trust. This is how we build self-understanding. The more we understand something, the more we love it. Therefore, we are building self-love through this process as well. And unconditional love is the highest vibrating frequency of all. I believe we talked about that a little bit last week or the week before. And so the more you love yourself, the higher vibrating your overall vibrational frequency is. And we tracked that which we are because everything in this universe is energy. And if you want something in your life, you match the overall energetic vibration of it. Therefore, we are electromagnetic. We pull that experience into our life. So as we raise our vibration higher, we become a match, so to speak, for those higher quality life experiences and beautiful relationships and wonderful opportunities. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, in a sense of a way that you can raise your vibration to become more in energetic alignment with yourself. And it's through using an F word.
An F word. A really good F word. There's so many good F words out there.
Yeah. But first, do you want to say anything else about how people can contact you after?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so sure. So everyone always is interested in working with us in a bunch of different ways. So we want to honor that and let you know that we are creating some things. We've got some fun things that are in the works. So we'll drop those in the future.
Yeah.
No spoilers quite yet. But you can always work with us one-on-one if you want to reach out to us. We each have an hourly rate and we can do marvelous things in that time.
If you guys just have some wins that you want to share with us, or you have questions in between the weekly calls.
Monique's wonderful about that.
Yeah,
she's really good. But then you can always, for me, easy ways, bring some real estate deals. Let's work out on some fun, creative finance stuff together. And those deals, they don't have to be a single property. Bring me 100 properties. Bring me an owner that has only 70 properties, right? But that's a fun thing. Or people that have money and they don't know what to do with it in this market. So anyway, quick plugs for things like that. But what I really want, I'm really excited about this one. You guys should be too, because you've been asking us for this for a while, always wondering what that exercise is that really changed my whole inner persona in the course of an hour, from a little sticky that she ended up putting on my paper, priority, energy before action. And then she put, I love you. Yeah, that helped too. And a smiley face. All those things freaking help so much. But no, the cool thing about it is just, I love manifesting things in my life. Whether it's a free drink, or it's a free trip to Florida, or it's $1 million deal. All of those things are the same. And the grandioseness of one versus the other, it isn't different to the energy world.
Because energetically, nothing is insignificant, nothing is too significant. It all just is. And we will talk about manifesting and more in depth in a soon to be, but later show. But today I want to talk about this really important component to manifesting that a lot of people overlook. Because one thing that I will say about manifesting that Zach started to touch on is that we're always doing it. We're always co-creating our life with this overall energy, this creation, this energy of creation. Some refer to it as God, some refer to it as spirit, universe, whatever it is, the divine that you connect with. It is this energy that we are in co-creation of. We are an extension of it. And to connect more deeply and intimately with that energy, the more higher vibrating our energy body is. We all have an energy body. We're all composed of atoms. The more higher vibrating that energy body is, the more in sync we are with that grandiose plan that the divine has for us. And one way that we can allow ourselves to become more in sync with that plan is to release dense energy that's no longer serving us. Things like grudges, things like resentment, things like feeling hurt or angry over the past. And we do this through this F word known as forgiveness.
F word.
And forgiveness is a very powerful frequency because it essentially releases these chains that keep us connected to past events. And it has actually been shown that just through the power of forgiveness, you can heal your body, you can heal the quality of your relationships, the quality of your life, you can attract better experiences into your life. And people who practice forgiveness on a regular basis, they have lower levels of depression, lower levels of anxiety, a higher sense of self-esteem and self-belief and self-trust. And they respond more to personal growth. And so forgiveness just really is the icing on the cake of life, because we're always going through life and we are bound to come up against something, someone, a situation where either someone hurts us deliberately or indeliberately. Is that a word? Indeliberately?
Sure, go with it.
Or we do something that hurts ourselves or someone else. It's going to happen. We are human. But can we take what happened and instead of dwell on it and create a grudge or resentment or fear around it, instead, can we free up that energy around forgiving what happened, learning from that experience, and then using that lesson to become a better version of ourselves? And a really wonderful tagline that I love is forgiveness is freedom. Like the path to freedom is through forgiveness. And it's because when we're holding on to grudges and resentment and hurt or anger from the past, we are literally chained to the past energetically. When we do not forgive, it is what's called an energy leak. And this means that how many of us, just as I'm talking, and even you, honey, like, how many times have you went to move forward in something, but you're like, well, last time I did this, this happened, or last time I did this, I was hurt. Or I'm scared to move forward because the last time my experience with X, Y, and Z was really, really bad. And I'm still recovering from that.
Yeah, I've heard those records play in my head before. I hate those songs, right? And sometimes you try to drown out those songs like, oh, turn that volume down on that thing. But that's not the way to get that song to go away in your mind. And that's not the way to get over that. And that's not the way to reach a higher vibrational energy and attract more things in your life. So I've tried it. It doesn't work. What we're doing here does work.
Yes. Or even maybe, again, a very common example is relationships, because we've all experienced many of them in every area of our life. And if someone hurt you in a relationship, and another thing that we can do is we want revenge. And so we're like, oh, I'm just going to get this person back. I'm going to humiliate them like they did me. It might feel good in the moment, but then after the fact, what positive benefit did that have?
Yeah.
Right. It's really not doing anything, because you're essentially moving down to their level to treat them the way that they treated you, when the way they treated you hurt you in the first place. So why would you want to lower your energetic standards to just give them revenge? Because essentially what we do when we don't forgive is we give our power away. We are most powerful when we are embodied in our power in the present moment, when we are focused on the present moment, when we are focused on what do I have control over right now? And when we hold on to past events or past grudges because the mind is choosing not to forgive, then we're giving our power away to the past, or we are giving our power away to the future in fear that the past is going to recreate itself. And essentially, the only person that's hurting in this situation is you. And the other party, if there was another party involved, and I say that because sometimes it's ourselves that we need to forgive, but the other party, they're not affected either way. If it's been 5 years and you're still holding on to a grudge, or it's been 6 months and you're still holding on to a grudge, they've moved on. Why haven't you? Right? So these are some questions that we can ask ourselves if we are having a hard time forgiving, because when you are just focused on the past, you have less energy to work with now in the future. And our energy, everything in this universe is an energetic exchange. This is why you connect with some people and you feel so good around them, because the energy I get from Zach and he gets from me most of the time is really positive, and we uplift each other. So everything is an energetic exchange. We even exchange money, a currency, for an item, the energy that item will bring to us. So when we are constantly focusing on the past, or holding grudges onto the past, or like, well, they did me wrong, or like, fuck them, I'm not ever talking to them again, that's great. But if you're holding on to the anger and the grudge and everything that happened, then you are essentially siphoning your energy to that past experience, to that person, and you are giving them power over you.
Yeah, it's horrible. Why would you poison yourself? You are literally the only person in that situation that has to do anything. That the other person might not remember it, might not think about that, but you might be dwelling on that every day.
Yes.
And so you're drinking that little bit of poison every day.
Yes.
You don't have to be doing that.
Yes.
Forgiving someone doesn't mean that you're telling them that they didn't do anything wrong. Right? There might have been something that was wrong that was happened, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We all do things that are wrong in this life.
Take away from what they did. That's a lot of things people say well, I can't forgive because what they did was wrong.
Or is unforgivable.
Yeah.
That just means that you want to suffer forever.
The rest of your life.
Holy smokes. That's unforgivable, I would say. So don't do that to yourself.
Because
forgive yourself.
Exactly what you're saying. It's literally you're drinking poison and you're expecting everyone else at the table to fall dead. You're the one that's hurting yourself. They're all going to be fine going on with their meal. You are the one that's hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And just thinking those thoughts of resentment and anger and feeling hurt, the energetic climate that is going on in your body is one that is going to make you feel down and depressed and anxious, feel low, feel off, feel spacey and ungrounded. So if you are someone that how do you know if something needs forgiven? So a question that you can ask yourself is, what area in my life do I feel stuck in? Or what area in my life do I have fear around moving forward in? Or
That
one
helps.
more question is, what area in my life do I feel like I can't make progress in? So some areas might be, I feel stuck in relationships.
Easy one.
Yeah. Some area where I have fear of moving forward. I have fear of moving forward with my business.
Tons of times, right? For entrepreneurs,
Yes.
all the time.
And then areas
Always with
where-
growth too, especially.
Yes. Yeah, business or growth or like relationships and community. And then making progress. I'm not making progress with my finances. I keep finding myself stuck in the same loop of making money and then nothing, making money. And then I go into debt, feast or famine loop.
Or working out, isn't that a common one with your own body?
With your own body.
Because it's tied to your mind
with
so closely.
Yeah. Like I can't make progress with my body. I can't make progress at the gym. I can't make progress with my diet because I always binge. I binge because I deprive myself throughout the day and then I go and I binge at night. So I will challenge you to ask yourself, what needs forgiven? What are you holding on to where you're still hurting yourself, thinking that it's going to get back at the other person? Or maybe you learned something from an experience that needs forgiven. And I'll give an example of this. So one with like body or finances. So I know when I was young, my parents argued a lot about finances. I always heard the phrases, money doesn't grow on trees. We're not rich. You can't just have whatever you want. Heard phrases like, if you want something, then you give me the money for it. I was like 8 years old, right? Like an 8-year-old's not going to be forking out money unless you're you and you start a business.
Well, they didn't tell me that, but they didn't tell me to give them money. I just asked the problem of, hey, why don't we have, like, why can't I get this Nintendo? And they said, well, we don't have the money for that. I said, oh, so money's the issue. And then I was like, well, what if I get the money?
Yeah.
So I was thinking a different way, but they weren't telling me that. But I was seeing signs that we didn't have money for certain things, you know, but throughout the year.
Shown to you in like a hostile way. For me, it was kind of shown to me as a hostile way. And then whenever I would receive something, then later my mother she would say something along the lines of, well, I just got you that, so we don't have any money for a while. So then I would feel bad. I would feel guilty of like, well, if she wouldn't have bought me that, then we would have more money. Like mom would have more money. Because little kids, we take everything on as this is about me. And so
we're all little kids.
Yeah, we're all big little kids.
Big little kids.
And so when it comes to forgiveness, so when I started doing my money mindset work, I sat down and I'm like, why do I struggle with the thought of having a lot of money? And I sat down and I wrote out all the reasons why I struggled. And I'm like, the first thing that comes to mind, what are memories that I have? What are scenarios that happened in my past that revolved around money and negative experiences with money? So I wrote all of this stuff down because I learned that money wasn't everywhere. I learned that money was hard to come by. I learned that there was never enough. So I had to go back and forgive my parents for teaching me those lessons. They didn't know what they were doing. They wouldn't have taught me deliberately those lessons. Like most of our parents, they were just doing the best that they could with what they knew. And however, it determined how my relationship with money was dictated in my early adult life. And so as I was going back, I had to forgive them for teaching me these lessons that were inhibiting me from moving forward and progressing with my relationship with money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. So awesome. So this exercise, while she was going through some of
talk about it
her growth.
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah. But with her growth, so she was going through what this exercise that we'll give you at the end. But for me, I was just feeling stuck. I was feeling a little depressed at the time. I was transitioning from one type of working to another, working more with my hands in construction, fixing up these properties. It was a risk mitigation thing to do at the time after COVID made sense to me, but it's like, this is not my highest and best use. So let's transition into something else. But moving into that something else, I could just feel there was some friction, and call it depression, call it lack of motivation to move forward on that. But all of these things together, I'm like, why am I feeling that way? And then she would notice that I'm feeling a little undriven compared to my normal self.
Our own patterns.
Yeah.
We're stuck.
Or we don't want to, like we don't want to even see them. Our safe brain is trying to protect us. Like, no, just stay where you're at, you know? So, because you've had all these different traumas in your past, you've had these lessons that you've learned that we've now taught ourselves how to protect ourselves from those situations. And so when I'm trying to move forward and grow to something new, my subconscious is saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Remember the last time we tried doing something new? That did not work out so well. And so she noticed this in me, and thankfully I have someone so smart and loving and caring next to me that it ended up changing my life. Well, as soon as I did the exercise that evening.
Yes. And we'll give you guys the exercise at the end of this because we want you to do it as well, because it's really, really powerful.
And it's also understanding everything that goes into it. Because when you understand all this about yourself, you have that self-awareness, you can then get so much more out of this exercise because you're primed for it and you're ready. You want to have that change. And so it's like, okay, now I know the background, I know what's going on, and I can really get the most out of this exercise. So super fun.
I mean, anytime you know why you're doing something, it makes the actual doing of it more powerful. But getting back to forgiveness. So through that exercise that I was giving you, like I said, my parents were teaching me through their own lens, and Zach was operating through his own lens. And those lens were ones of wounding. They were ones of their own life experience. And they were ones of the lens of scarcity, like my parents, or the lens of not feeling enough, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And so we have to understand that when someone hurts us, when someone does something that it traumatizes us, or it ruins the relationship, or it distills this lack of trust within the dynamic, or it teaches us something about life that isn't serving us, they are acting through their own lens, and it very rarely has anything to do with you. It very rarely has anything to do with hurting you intentionally.
Think about that. Because that's important. Just pause on that for a second. You know, they're not doing that to intentionally hurt you. They're doing it through their own lens, just like her parents in that instance. They were trying their best, but they had their own limiting beliefs and things, and you could hear them because they were just spouting them right out in those moments.
Yes. And it's important to understand that the person is acting out through their own lens, and that person may have been you. And very rarely did you don't deserve to be treated badly. And other people don't deserve to be treated badly by you, but it happens. And so we don't serve anybody when we stay stuck, chaining ourselves, handcuffing ourselves to that event, because we feel so much negativity towards that experience that happened in the past, whether it happened to us or we were the ones doing something. And so it's important for you to understand that if you were acting out in a way that right now you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, then free yourself from that through the act of forgiveness. If someone else did something to hurt you, you can free yourself through the act of forgiveness. And if you're not ready to forgive, that's totally fine. Like if I say something, and if I say, is there something in your life that you know you would benefit if you forgive, if you were to forgive it or yourself? And just see if anything comes up. But if something comes up and your immediate thought is just like, oh, well, I'm not ready to forgive that, or they didn't learn their lesson, or they haven't apologized for you, they haven't apologized for what happened yet, that's fine. But I'm going to invite you to remember that if your forgiveness is dependent on the other person's apology or the other person becoming aware of what they did, you are not only giving your power to the person that hurt you or to the situation that hurt you, but now you are creating a lifeline. Like you need them in order for you to feel powerful enough to forgive. So you're giving them your power. You're allowing them to play a leading role in your life. So just think about that for a moment. If there is anything in your life that you're saying, oh, I can't forgive because of X, Y, Z, whatever that reasoning may be, we can always choose to forgive. It doesn't mean that what happened was appropriate, but it happened. We can't change that it happened. We can change the energy in which we move forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
for everyone. So she's inviting you to think about that. I'm telling you, the thing that you're thinking about right now, that's the thing that you have to forgive probably the most. And there's more of those things in your mind. So instead of asking, and what am I thinking of? What comes to mind? How many things come to mind? Right? My lovely little trick of, instead of, is there something, to how many things are there that are holding me back, because you want to be able to forgive all of those, because they're all different flavors of poison, but poison is no good to anyone. It doesn't matter what flavor it is. And so, yeah, don't give them that power. Take that power back. Yeah, that doesn't mean that it was a good thing that happened. That's never what we're saying, but it's a terrible thing for you to hold on to that forever. That's just going to make your life worse, and everyone that's around you and everyone that you do business with. And every time you do something more, you're just going to be dragged down from this energy leak that's in your past.
Yeah, because think about it. Like, what would serve you and the other party more? Knowing that you are living your best life, that you have no attachment to what happened in the past, that you learned lessons from that experience, and that you took those lessons to become a better person, to become more aware, more vigilant, more compassionate, more caring, more confident, whatever that is.
That sounds beautiful.
And you took those lessons and you implemented them in your own life, not only to benefit you, but to benefit others.
Ooh.
Like, just think about how that feels when that person sees you living your best life, or you just showcase you living your best life. Or does it serve the entire circumstance that you never got over it, that you are still thinking about it every day, that you can't move forward and it has debilitated you? How would you feel if that situation or that person was looking through a mirror and looking through the other side of the mirror, like in Snow White, and seeing you just being debilitated in your life? Like, you are siphoning your power, your life force energy to them. So would it be more beneficial to go out and live your best life, or would it be more beneficial for you to close yourself off from ever receiving anything other again, because you don't want to get cheated on in a relationship again? You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get left. You don't want to get fired from another job again, or you don't want to work with a crappy coworker or employee or employer, because you don't want that house that you put an offer on to get ripped out from underneath you again, or you don't want to go into a gym and get embarrassed again, or you're never going to drive a car again because someone else was texting and they hit you. Like, don't let these things, this is what happens. Like, don't let these things dictate the rest of your life. Because again, it's an energy leak. And when we're siphoning energy out to these situations and giving them power over how we are showing up today, then we can't show up in our fullest. And if we can't show up in our fullest, we are not in energetic alignment with our authentic self. And when we are not in energetic alignment with our authentic self, we cannot attract, call into, create, move forward towards that which is meant for us.
Yeah. All those things, your little story that's in your head, you're going to show up a little bit different than if you had forgiveness. You're going to show up a little bit more cautious. You're going to have this different energy all about you. And so you'll naturally push that into the other people that you're walking around and you're interacting with, and they're going to say, it seems like a good person to move forward with, but there's something behind it. And so it'll dictate your actions. It'll dictate your words that you say. It'll dictate your nonverbal type of communication with everyone. And the thing is it's going to dictate it in the times when you're not even thinking about it. It's going to be these subconscious signals that you're putting out into the world that people pick up on. We all pick up on those things. And you wonder, why didn't this relationship work out? Why did it turn into the exact same thing that my last relationships were? Or how come I'm getting a deal taken away from me again in all of these things? Or I just have this anxiety of driving a car around from stuff that none of this serves you. And we want you to be able to live your best life, to live your higher purpose that's in life, from that higher calling, that higher energy. We want you to get there, and through forgiveness, you can. So super excited about today.
So again, if we're saying these things and you're just like, I don't know, I'm not ready, that's not a bad thing. But I invite you to explore and get curious with that part that isn't ready. Is it not ready because it's scared? What if this happens again? Is it not ready because it wants to protect you, to protect your heart, to protect your bank account, to protect your body? Like, what is that reason? Because it's not a bad thing that if you're not ready to forgive, or if you're finding yourself stuck in a cycle, or you don't know how to forgive, but in that part of you that wants to protect you, it's going to try and do its job, right? That's the ego's job, is to protect us. So this part of us that wants to protect us, it's separating you from everything else and saying, all of this hurt me. I can't move forward into all of this because I need to protect the me. So connect with that part of you to see why, because I guarantee that the whole of you, the higher version of you, the divine in you wants to forgive. It wants the freedom because it knows on the other side of the forgiveness is the freedom, is the enlightenment, is the ecstasy, is the joy. And so can you let yourself have it? Can you let yourself open up to it? Because it's the same exact possibility of you getting hurt again versus you having the best experience of your life. The only thing that dictates that possibility is your belief in what will happen. Thus, the actions that you're going to take into that experience. So again, if you're not ready to forgive, that's fine. But I invite you to get curious with that part. Engage with that part. What does this part of you need to feel safe in order to forgive? And don't say that you need the other person to apologize. Don't say that you need the other person to say, well, they were wrong. I need them to admit it. Because again, you're giving your power away. What happened isn't fair, but it still happened. But when you choose to forgive, and when you remind this part of you that it's safe to forgive because all of this life, all of this life is awaiting to be lived by you.
Yeah.
And how is it going to serve you to live your life in a joyous way, in a free way, or chained to past events, timid to move forward and angry and hurt from actions of other people or yourself in the past? Because when you choose to forgive, like we were saying before, you stop drinking the poison, and you don't need to understand why something happened in order to forgive it. You just need to know that, okay, it's not serving me anymore to hold on to that. I'm done drinking the poison. And your body is really, really good because you're literally drinking energetic poison. Like, I know that that's just a metaphor, but you're actually drinking energetic poison because the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you feel, and the actions that you take, they are on repeat every day. The thoughts that you think and the emotions that you feel about the past situation, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And so they're on repeat. And so you are sending negative signals throughout your entire body all day long. What is that doing to your health? It's not helping you. I guarantee you that.
No.
And so when you can forgive or practice forgiving, it might take a couple times going through this exercise that we're going to share with you guys, but you literally stop drinking energetic poison and your body begins to heal. And then your body begins to vibrate at a higher frequency. And then as you do that, you start creating higher quality experiences and pulling them into your life. So you just have to ask yourself, which story do you want to play out? The joyous, free story or the grudge and resentment? Because I mean, he has a wonderful example of this when I wrote that sticky note and said, do this exercise. He was very resistant to it for a while. And then once he did it, though, things shifted immediately. Within a week, things shifted. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I would implore you, please don't wait. Like it was a couple days, maybe 3 days where I had that sticky tape to the little exercise. Like I didn't know exactly what was energetic alignment, things that she's teaching us right now, right, in more detail. But, you know, the things that she does, that she's aware of, you know, I had no clue about some of these things, but I've gone through different healing exercises before. And I wish I had done this days sooner, but I am still very thankful that I did it when I did it, and that she was persistent and cute enough to put a little loving sticky on there to nudge me forward. So consider this your sticky of nudging you forward, guys. We love you. We want the best for you. So just please go through this exercise. And even as I'm talking about it, I consider that I should be doing this. I mean, I'm sure I could do it again right now, and I'm going to get something wonderful out of it. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking like, oh, I'll tell them to do it. I'll do it again because goodness is going to happen on the other side of it. But just putting it into a regular cleansing routine, maybe once a year, as we're creating new goals, it's nice to clear our mind from things that are preventing us from thinking about bigger goals or really what we want, because we might think, I want that, but this thing in the past is telling me that I'm not going to be able to get that and be happy because it's treated us wrong in the past, because we haven't forgiven some things, and we haven't forgiven ourselves for making some choices even in the past, you know. So it hits on a bunch of different levels, and so that's why it's really exciting.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to just remind you before we go into this exercise as a little closing is that forgiveness doesn't take anybody off the hook. It lets you off the hook. And
1000%.
The more that we can forgive and just understand that we don't need to understand why what happened, we can understand that, okay, someone did something out of this lens of they were hurting, or I did something out of a lens of I was hurting, or I felt I was in scarcity, or I didn't know better. Then we can bring in compassion and forgive ourselves. Remember, the highest vibrating frequency is unconditional love. So by forgiving ourselves, we invite more of that unconditional love in. We're saying, I love this part of me, even though I've done something less than desirable in the past. Or I love this situation because it taught me more about myself. It helped me persevere. It helped me become stronger to create a new identity for myself, even though it hurt me at the time. And as with anything in the universe, the more positivity that you bring into your life, the more happiness, the more joy, the more freedom you bring into your life, the more you're going to attract that. And again, the universe does not know significance. So you might attract first someone holding the door open for you. And then that might turn into someone reaching out and saying, hey, I have a deal. You're the person I need on this deal. Do you want in? Might be someone walking in and that's the last person that you ever go on a first date with. So there will be different things. It might be going to your doctor and be like, oh my gosh, what have you been doing? Because your body seems to be rebounding wonderfully. So just be aware that this will show up in your life in different ways. Just trust that the more that you can forgive, the more you can invite these higher vibrating frequencies into your life. Even forgiving the person that cut you off in traffic. He's better at this than I am in the moment. I can always forgive afterwards, but in the moment I have to go through my process. But just like, if you need to tell yourself a story, just say, wow, there must really be in a hurry to get somewhere. Maybe it's an emergency, like whatever helps you.
If it helps you, but then, yeah, to underscore your point of, you don't need to know why.
Yes.
Because
but if
why?
It helps your mind.
Right. If it helps you for now, that's kind of like training wheels. But for me, why I don't get upset then when somebody cuts me off, it's like, the why is my story that I'm attaching to it. So it's not going to be 100% truth. So don't think that it's 100% truth. Just look at the facts. This is what happened. That's what happened. So then you can forgive someone for that, you know, for doing those types of things in life. I forgive you, buddy. You probably have something that you need, or like you're so stressed, you're hurrying. Maybe there's someone that's pregnant in there. It doesn't matter what the story is. Just forgive through that lens, and it instantly feels better. Because I want to feel better, right? I don't want to be stressed out when I'm driving. She gets stressed out as a passenger telling me some things sometimes. It's like, it doesn't matter, because what am I trying to do? I want to go through life and be comfortable, and I want us to arrive safely at the destination that we want to go to. And so if I am anxious and I'm going through that lens, and now I might want to cut off the next person, go a little faster, it just creates anxiety and things that aren't safe. They're inconsistent with my vision of how I want us to live, how I want to live. And so, nope. If you need to do those things, that's fine. In fact, I'm probably going to give you a little bit more room, because you're very erratic right now. And, you know, there's some unknown that's happening in your life, or maybe that's just how you live. But I'm going to just step a little bit back from that. And again, you'll notice those types of people, the ones that add that anxiety in your life and the ones that add that ease and that calm. And I would implore you to surround yourself with people that are similar to where you want to go, your vision in life in every way that can be. And so maybe it's people that don't drive as crazy, or you can encourage other people to go through this exercise.
I was like, where is he going with this? But you brought it back around.
Yeah, I'll always bring it back around. I might talk a little bit longer. It's for everyone's benefit. Okay.
So let's talk about this exercise, because this is the important part. So yes, this video
attention,
a little tidbit about forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. But we if you want to really shake shit up in your life, do this exercise and do it multiple times. I've done this exercise multiple times, and it's powerful every single time. And this is an exercise that I've learned there are many different ways to forgive. Okay. And I've learned this exercise many different times from many different teachers. And it always comes back to this. I want you, so you can pause this, but I want you to actually do this as we talk. I want you to get a piece of paper and write 1 to 20. So I want you to label 1 to 20, number it 1 to 20. And what you're going to do, if you need to pause this, go ahead. But what you're going to do is you're going to think of an area in your life that you feel stuck. Like we talked about before, ask yourself one of those 3 questions. Where do I feel stuck? Where am I afraid to move forward? Where am I not making as much progress in? You can refer back to your limiting beliefs if you need to, but write down an area in your life that you're feeling stuck. From there, getting your 1 to 20 list, I want you to go ahead and just create a list of every single situation, person, event from your past that comes up, first thing in your mind that comes up when you think about this thing. What comes up? Like, oh, I'm holding on to this. I need to forgive this. Or, oh, yeah, that did happen. I need to forgive this. I just want you to free write for 20 minutes, meaning don't think about it too much for 20 minutes, for 20 of these things, at least 20. If more than 20 comes up, wonderful, but don't stop until you get 20. If you stop before 20, ask what else? What else is here that I'm not willing to look at right now?
And literally, it doesn't have to be related to that thing that you're stuck in at the moment. Yes. That's just a good place to start, but it's anything that you feel, anything that comes up.
Because it's all connected, because it's all energy. It's all energy, and you're the common denominator. So this is all connected. So it might be for finances, but then something comes up when you were 9 years old on the playground and you got chased by a boy and you fell and you scraped your knee and your knee was bloody and you ripped your jeans and you had to go to school with bloody jeans for the rest of the day. It might seem completely unrelated from the actual topic. That doesn't mean it is. It's all connected because it's all energy.
Yeah. So the idea is just write this list, and you'll take the time, but write it to completion. So when she's saying 20, do at least that. But just, I think I got 27 on my list, and that's just because it was a whole side of a paper that was on it. And there's nothing on the other one, but just keep going essentially until you feel complete.
Yes.
But make sure that you go and you check on yourself, like, am I complete? Is there anything more? But challenge yourself. Right. Yeah.
For now. And then in like a week, you might want to come back to this exercise.
Yeah.
And do more. But yeah, definitely challenge yourself to get at least 20, because we all have 20 things that we can forgive in our life. And from there, once you have your 20 written, then I want you to,
before we go into that, sometimes, it's forgiving another person. Like, okay, this person did me wrong in a deal. This partner of mine did me wrong in the deal. But then very quickly, because I'm a type of person that feels that I'm in control of my life. So I think, well, I had a lot of control in working with that person. So let me also forgive myself for choosing to be in partnership with that person.
Yeah.
So,
or forgive the lens that you were acting through to be in partnership with that person. Like maybe you really wanted money and you thought this was a quick fix,
right?
Or something like that. So yeah, forgive yourself.
So yeah, but in all of those senses, try and think. Usually there's a duality in everything. Yeah. There's your role, and then there's the external role. And there might be many external factors and many external people that affected you in that situation. But you were also in there too. And you might have been completely innocent. That's fine. But I would challenge you to think, did you have some role in that in your head? And then just forgive yourself for whatever that role is. Like you're thinking, oh, if I just took a different direction that day, I wouldn't have put myself into that situation with all these bad people. Even just walking down some road or driving a different direction, just forgive yourself for that. Even if you think it might be non-trivial, it might not be. It's just your mind wants to say, oh, I know that I didn't have control over that, but whatever, that gives you one more line item in here and it'll help in the process as well. Okay.
Yes, so then once you have everything written out, this is the important part. So do this when you have time to be by yourself, and you have about 20, 30 minutes just to process. But I want you to line by line, read out loud the sentence, whatever it is that you're forgiving, followed by this prayer. This is a Hawaiian prayer, a Hawaiian prayer called Ho'oponopono. And it is simple. It is, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. And what these mean is, so you're going to read it out. So for an example, when I was doing my first money mindset work, something that actually came up was the time that I think it was the time that my mom bought me something and then she held it against me. And she said, well, because I bought you that, we don't have money right now. So I would read that out loud, the time that my mom bought me something and blah, blah, blah. Immediately following that, I'm sorry, meaning I'm sorry that I've been holding on to this for so long. Thank you, meaning thank you for the lessons that this taught me. I'm sorry, I forgive you. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry that I've been holding on to this. I forgive you for whatever happened. Thank you for the lessons that this taught me. I love you. Just sending love to the situation. Okay. So you don't have to say, I love you to the person or the thing that hurt you. You can just say, I love you, meaning I'm just sending love to the situation, to that version of me that was in the situation, to just, to help, remedy the energy of the situation. And then you're going to read every single line out loud. You're going to dwell on the emotion for like 2 seconds. You're going to repeat the Ho'oponopono prayer. And then you're going to go all the way down your page. Don't be surprised if you feel a little worse after you do this. You've just released some energy that you've been holding on to for a while. So let yourself do some self-care, drink some water, go for a walk, maybe journal, do something. But I guarantee, 1, you're going to feel better the next day. You're going to feel better in a couple hours. 2, this clears so much energy, so much dense energy out of your field. Don't be surprised if some crazy stuff starts happening in your life over the next couple of weeks, or some random things start happening in your life over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So really cool. So as I was going through the exercise and writing everything down, a lot of emotions are coming up, right? Because these are all traumatic events in my life. They're things that are associated with losing money, deals falling through, chaos.
Even my body, how I've treated my body in the past.
Body, I mean, like my divorce originally, but, writing those things down. And then for me, it was important for me to actually see those words underneath it. So you'll have your whole list, but then to see the other words so that I can see, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. Seeing that written out is nice because I don't have to think about it as much. Like, what is the right order? What are the right ones to think? I can just see it. But then, and everyone's a little different. And then
also like the right order is
okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. The right order. So that's fine. But it felt nice to forgive them first before I said that I'm sorry to them, because the forgiveness is what we're trying to do. So it's just first forgiving. Okay. Just like giving first, forgive first. And that feels nice. And then say, I'm sorry. And then it gets me to thank you. Sometimes the thank you part is a little slower for me to process than yet getting to the I love you for all that, thanking them for the lessons and everything. And because you wouldn't be the person that you are today, you wouldn't be on the path that you are today if it wasn't for those people in those situations. And so once you realize that, then you can say, wow, I love you for that. It's like, so my ex-wife is on this and everything. And it was terrible event at the time, coming to Ohio and dealing with a new architecture school, driving an hour each way, and then our relationship getting torn apart from distance and other things in that. But if it wasn't for going through that, my gosh, I wouldn't be an amazing runner that I am today. I wouldn't have run a marathon. I would never even have thought of running a marathon. I wouldn't have even gotten into real estate investing. So for all of that, my gosh, obviously I forgive her. I thank her for all of that. I'm sorry for the role that I played in that, but I love her, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here in front of you guys. I wouldn't have this wonderful glowing soul next to me and all of that. And so part of the exercise that I enjoyed as well was closing my eyes and visualizing that I was talking to that person. As hard as that could be for some of these people that you might not want to look at in the face, there's power in that. So visualizing, I'm either talking to my ex-wife and literally giving her those words, giving her those emotions from me. But then also, remember, I like to apologize and thank and love and forgive myself too. So turning it to myself, picturing myself at that time and saying, it's okay. It's okay. I forgive you for your role in all of this, because I'm sure I could have shown up better in some things, but that still wouldn't have brought me to where I am now. So I thank my previous self for going through all that and seeing that, visualizing that self as I go through it. And I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. And I love you. If you say it with some emotion, you end up getting some emotion back in your body as you go through it. And to me, that was super, super powerful. One by one, to all these people that I couldn't even imagine talking to in person, that were holding me back because I might have felt some grudges, even if I was just brushing those feelings off. They were deep inside of me, and nobody had talked to those emotions in a very long time for me. And so going through that and thanking everyone and really feeling after each time, like not running through this exercise, but saying it out loud was important too. So go in a place where you're alone, where you don't mind and nobody can hear you. So you feel that there's privacy so that you can be vulnerable to yourself in those times. And then really visualize that person, visualize the emotions as you say them, because the more powerful you can say them and feel those emotions, the more impactful they're going to be. And that's the whole point of this darn thing, is it's to stop drinking that poison and start drinking cups of happiness.
Yeah. And so like we were saying, is I usually say, I'm sorry, I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Zach likes to say, I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. So whichever one resonates with you, use it and do this exercise. And then let us know how it works for you. Let us know how you feel. And we're excited to hear about it, because forgiveness is such a powerful frequency. It leads to personal freedom. It leads to energetic freedom, which then will lead to energetic alignment, which then will lead to you having what you want.
So cool.
Yeah. So I believe that is it for today. We are sending you guys lots of love, and we'll see you next week.
One last thing, guys, just in our emails that we send out, there is a little survey Google form that has 2 quick questions, just asking you what you would like to learn from us and any feedback that you could give us. But we're really specific on learning what you want to learn from us, because we will tailor this towards you guys at the end of the day. So please, we implore you, fill that out, give us some answers. And even if you don't know what you want to learn, just tell us that. If you were honest and transparent about that, that just feels great, because you're interacting with us. And that tells me that you care about yourself, you care about showing up with all of this. And that's going to just give us more energy to show up for you guys at the end of the day. So lots of love. We'll see you next week.